And greetings and welcome to our daily Devo for Wednesday, May the 3rd. Wednesday, May the 3rd. We are moving into and continuing along here since last week with our daily devotional called The Holy Land Devotional. It's written by a man who takes trips there, has taken trips there, and this is devotion he encourages them to read as they go, before they go, or as they go. For us who aren't making that trip physically, we need to make it in our imaginations. Today's location is Beersheba. Beersheba. The recommended reading is Genesis chapter 46, verses 1 through 7. Genesis 46, verses 1 through 7. Every time I stand at Beersheba looking south into the dry reaches of the Negev basin, I feel the tension that must have welled up in Jacob. Here he faced one of the most consequential decisions of his life. On the one hand, Jacob knew he should stay put. The Lord had promised to Jacob's grandparents, Abraham and Sarah, who had been childless at the time. He promised that their family would grow into a great nation and that he would give them the land of Canaan as their homeland. From this nation, on this land, the Lord promised to restore the blessing that had been lost in Eden, and that's Genesis 12, 1 through 7. It's unthinkable that Jacob would leave. The altar his father Isaac had built here at Beersheba reminded him of God's promised plan of salvation in Genesis 26, 23 to 25. But there is something else, something that isn't apparent from our modern view. Beersheba was the southernmost city of the promised land. Judges 20, verse 1, 1 Samuel 3, verse 20. One more step south, and Jacob would be leaving the land he was never supposed to leave. On the other hand, Jacob knew he had to go. A 7-year famine had gripped the land of Canaan. In a bid to ward off starvation, Jacob had twice sent his sons to purchase grain from Egypt, and this was a stopgap measure at best. They needed to migrate to survive. The matter was further complicated by the story of Jacob's son Joseph. Jacob thought Joseph was dead, but when his sons returned from Egypt after a second trip to purchase grain, Jacob learned that Joseph was alive and had risen to political prominence. Now Joseph was beckoning his family to travel to Egypt, where he would personally care for them. With famine driving him from the land and the promise of reunion pulling him from the land, Jacob knew he had to go. Just imagine the tension Jacob experienced at Beersheba. Only then will we appreciate the moment the Lord breaks the unbearable stress with these words: "Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for I will make you into a great nation." And that's from our passage today, Genesis 46, verse 3. Jacob was free to depart Canaan. There would be an Egyptian extension to the plan of salvation. While God always has a plan, we might not always be able to see it. And that generates a great deal of inner turmoil when we face a consequential decision at our own quote unquote Beersheba. When we stand at such a border place, shifting our weight from one foot to the other, we can do what Jacob did: stop, worship, and listen for the answer. The Lord will meet us at the border and signal the turn he wants us to take. Mm-mm. Life is filled with tough decisions, and especially as a believer, part of our decision making, if not The majority of our decision making needs to be, God, what is your will? God, I know this is where you led me now, but are you leading someplace else? Is there something else you want me to do? And if I do it, will that be blessed? Or if I stay here, will that be blessed? It can be difficult, but I think those three things are very, very important. The Lord will meet us at the border. He'll signal what turn he wants us to take. Stop, worship, and listen for the answer from God. And don't confuse your own answer with God's. They may not be the same. Good questions here. When have you felt tension over choice like the one Jacob faced at Beersheba? I have a number of them coming to mind. What did you do well and what did you do poorly in making your decision? I know one thing people do are do the plus and minus list, right? Good points, bad points kind of thing. That's usually not very good. How did the Lord make the path forward clear to you? All good questions. Lord, I don't like feeling the tension of being caught between two choices at the border. I want to rush ahead and just get the decision made so that life can move forward. Please give me the patience I lack to hold that decision in tension until you make the path forward clear. Good prayer. Good prayer. Blessings to you today, and in every decision, pay attention to what the Lord is saying.